Once you've joined all your sunburst squares, you're probably going to want to add a border to your blanket to bring it all together. In this video, I'm going to show you how I've made the border on my Rain-beau Sunburst blanket using the camel stitch technique. If you've followed me for a while, you'll know I'm not one for fancy borders usually. I prefer to go with something fairly simple and understated, just to frame the blanket. Camel stitch is a lovely technique that isn't too fancy, but just still gives enough interest and a little bit of texture. Just a reminder that I'm going to be using UK crochet terms throughout the video, and I'm going to continue using the same 4mm hook and same yarn as I used to join my squares. You can find my tutorial for this join on my channel. Now, if you followed my joining tutorial, you would have joined all your squares and you'll almost be at a corner point. Now, I like to start my borders at the corner, so I'm going to slip stitch into that corner stitch there, and that becomes now the starting point of my border. Now we're effectively going to work a foundation round for the first round, and it's going to be mostly double crochets. We're going to treat the joining points along the sides, these points here, slightly differently, so I'll explain that as we get there. So to start our first foundation round, make one chain and then work 3 double crochets into the same stitch, and this becomes the first corner of our foundation round. We're now going to work a double crochet in every stitch along that first square. So just 1 double crochet into each stitch. So I'm just working my last double crochet into that last stitch on that square, and we've now reached our joining point. Now we're going to work a decrease over the joining point, and the reason that we do this is so that we don't end up with too many stitches in our border. If you've got too many stitches in your border, you'll find that it will start to ruffle and it won't lay flat. Now the decrease we're going to do is a half treble crochet decrease, and we're going to work it over the corner stitches of the 2 squares. So yarn over and find the corner stitch, which is this one here on the first square, put your hook in, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over again, now go to your next square and find your corner stitch, which is this one here, yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, and that's your decrease done. You're now going to continue to work double crochets along the side, along the edge of the next square. So just 1 double crochet in each stitch. So I've just working my last double crochet into that last stitch along that second square, and this is where we're going to do our decrease again over this next join. So yarn over, find your corner stitch of that square, pull a loop through, yarn over and find the corner stitch of the next square and pull a loop through, yarn over and pull it through all loops on your hook, and that's your decrease done. And then continue to work the double crochets along the edge into each stitch. Once you get to the next join, you do your half treble crochet decrease over that join, just as we did before, and keep going all the way along the edge of the blanket in exactly the same fashion until you get to the next corner. So I'm going to get that done now, and I'll meet you just before we get to the corner. So I've been working the double crochets and the decreases over the joins all the way along this first edge of the blanket, and I'm now at the second corner. So I'm just going to make 1 more double crochet before I get to the corner stitch, and you're going to make your corner stitch now by working 3 double crochets into the corner stitch. And we're now on to the next edge of our blanket. So along the next edge, we're just going to carry on as we did the first edge. So working a double crochet into each stitch along and then a decrease over the joins. So I'm going to do that now around the next 3 edges of the blanket, and then I'll meet you once we get towards the end of the round. So I'm just coming up to the end of my foundation round now. So I've just got a couple more double crochets to work. So that's 1 and 2, and then slip stitch to the beginning of the round, so the slip stitch to the first double crochet that you made. So we're now going on to our next round, and this round will be a half treble crochet round. So first of all, make a chain and pull it quite tightly, and you're going to make your first half treble in the stitch directly below the chain that you've just made. So yarn over, put your hook in, yarn over, pull a loop through, yarn over and pull through all loops on your hook, and that's your first half treble made. We're now going to make 3 half trebles into the next stitch, and that's our corner. So your corners will always be 3 half trebles. So that's 1, 2, 3. So we're now going to continue working half trebles along each edge. So in each stitch, 1 half treble. So I'm just working along the edge of this first square, 1 half treble into each stitch. And as we get towards the first join, because we did that decrease on our foundation round, we can just continue making our half trebles in the stitches of the previous round. And you'll see that we haven't got any extra stitches that we don't need, and our border isn't going to start ruffling. It's going to lay nice and flat and straight. So continue to work your half treble crochets all the way around the blanket, working 3 half treble crochets into each corner stitch. I'm going to get that done now, and I'll meet you once we get to the end of the round. So I've now finished the half treble crochet round, and I've slip stitched to the top of the first stitch to join that round. And we're now going to start on our camel stitch. Now I'm going to take my hook out here and just show you a bit closer. So usually we work our crochet stitches into both loops of the stitch. So you can see here we've got both loops, the front loop and the back loop. With camel stitch, we're going to be working our stitches into the third loop, and this loop is behind the front and the back loop, just a little bit further back. If you have a look over the back, you'll find another loop. So you've got the front loop, the back loop, and then the second back loop, which is this one here. If I stick my hook in, it's this one here, and that's the one that we're going to be working our stitches into. Front loop, back loop, and the third loop, which is behind the front and the back loop. And we're going to continue working half treble crochets all around, but into that third loop, and that gives a nice little layered ridge to our rounds. So to start, just make a chain and pull it tightly, and then find your third loop on your first stitch. So you've got the front loop there, the back loop there, and then if you fold your blanket towards you, you'll find the third loop, which is here. So we're going to work a half treble crochet into there. We're now at our corner stitch, so we're going to continue working 3 half treble crochets into the corner stitch, but we're going to continue working it into that third loop. So fold your blanket forwards and you'll find that third loop. So 3 treble crochets into there. And then continue working your half treble crochets into the 3rd loop of each stitch. So if you tilt your blanket forward every time, you should see that 3rd loop quite clearly. I'll just work a few more and then we can have a look at the ridge that it's created. So as you can see, by working into that 3rd loop, it kind of pushes the stitches from the previous round forward, so you get this nice ridge. So we're going to continue in the same way all around the blanket, working half treble crochets into that 3rd loop all the way around until you get to the beginning. In your corners, same as before, 3 treble crochets, 3 half treble crochets into the corner stitches. So I'm going to do that now and I'll meet you at the end of the round. So we've now worked our first camel stitch round, and I've just joined my round with a slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, and we're now just going to repeat the round again. So first of all, make 1 chain and pull it quite tightly and start to make your half treble crochets into those 3rd loops. In the corner stitch, you need to be working your 3 half treble crochets all into the same stitch, and then continue along. In each stitch, work a half treble crochet into the 3rd loop. I'll just do a few of these and then show you what it looks like. Just a few more. So once again, you'll see that by working into the 3rd loop of every stitch, it kind of pushes those stitches in the previous row forward, and you start to get these nice raised lines in the border. So what we're going to do now is just finish this round and then repeat it twice more. So in total, you'll have 4 camel stitch rounds. So I'm going to get that done now, and I'll meet you once we get to the end of the 4th camel stitch round. So I've now finished doing my half treble crochet rounds using the camel stitch technique, and you can see that it's created these nice straight raised lines around our border. Now, if you wanted to make your border a bit wider, you could just continue making rounds using the camel stitch technique until the border is the width that you want. But for this blanket, I've done all the camel stitch rounds that I want to do, and I'm now going to do my final round for this blanket, which is going to be a slip stitch round. I quite like to do slip stitches on the last round. It just, for me, reinforces those edge stitches. So it's very simple. Literally going to work a slip stitch in every single stitch around. Now you don't need to worry about putting 3 in the corner. It's just 1 in the corner stitch, and just follow it round all the way around the edge of the blanket. Just slip stitching in every stitch. And it just reinforces those edge stitches a little bit. So I'm going to get this round done now, and then I'll meet you once we get to the end. Once you've finished your slip stitch round, you can fasten off your yarn and your blanket is complete. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. You can find more videos on my channel and find more information about this blanket on my blog. I'll put the link in the video information. To keep up to date with what I'm making, come and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Until next time, bye!